Direct editing. In this video, we'll modify hole locations, use delete to remove chamfers, and use press pull to change a fillet radius. In Fusion 360, we want to get started with the supplied dataset direct modeling. If we take a look at this dataset, we'll notice at the bottom that there is no timeline. There's no history of the features that were created. We simply have one thing called a base feature that was used based on an imported model. So if we start with a design like this and we need to manufacture it, there might be some changes that we want to make, and we can use something called direct editing or direct modeling. So in this video, we're going to explore some more direct modeling and direct editing tools to see ways in which we can adjust this design. The first thing I want to do is explore the delete tool again. We've already taken a look at delete in the context of solids versus surfaces. But in this case, I'm going to zoom in and begin selecting the chamfer that goes around this model. Make sure that you hold down the Control or Command key when you're making new selections, because if you accidentally select one of the chamfers and you don't have the Control or Command key selected, it'll restart the selection process. Once we have all of them selected, I'm going to go back to a home view, select Modify and Delete. Fusion 360 automatically removes the selected face and patches the surrounding geometry. So the top face is still in the same location as is the side, but it automatically creates the sharp corner that we're looking for. The next thing that we want to do is we want to take a look at the Press Pull tool. Press Pull is a tool that actually invokes some of the other modification tools. Depending on our selection, it might use offset face, it might use fillet, or it might adjust an original feature. Because we're starting out with a new design that doesn't have timeline history, the press pull feature is a great way for us to make adjustments to things like a fillet radius. So let's go ahead and make the selection of all 4 of these fillets, and then we'll use the on-screen manipulator to begin dragging them. Notice that it's giving us a warning with the delete face. And this is because delete face was a previously created operation, and the offset type is set to automatic. If we instead change this to a new offset and we make some adjustments, notice how it's not only adjusting the fillet, but it's also adjusting the overall size of the design. There's another option that allows us to modify existing features, but in this case, we don't actually have a fillet feature. What I want to do in this case is take a look at just these 2 external fillets and begin dragging them back and saying OK. Notice that we do have the warning with delete face, and if we right-click and edit the feature, it's because some of the chamfers that were previously on this feature are now gone. A way in which we can handle this is by doing the delete after modifying the fillet. So we can take this feature, we can delete it, and then we can modify the fillet and make sure that it maintains some level of chamfer. Once again, we can select Press Pull and we can make the adjustment, and we can move this in or out until we get back to a corner that has our chamfer. Another option we have is to use other tools such as extrudes. We could simply extrude a new top edge and include that fillet if we need it. Once we say OK, I can go back around and I can reselect some of these chamfers. And note, because they no longer continuously go around the body, I can hit delete as soon as I've selected one of the closed areas. I'm going to rotate this around and use Control or Command to select the others and hit delete. So you can see now we've made that adjustment, we have the larger fillet radius, and we no longer have any warnings in the timeline. This is definitely something to consider when you begin modifying a design, as the order of operations are still important. Next, we want to take a look at another direct modeling tool called Move Copy. Move Copy can be used to move bodies or components around in Fusion 360, but we can also move sketch objects or faces. When we select faces, we can select the inside of the 2 holes in this design. As soon as we do that, note the coordinate system is not lined up with anything in our model, so we can use Set Pivot, and we can select a new reference. Once we're happy with the new reference, we can OK the Set Pivot, then we can begin moving these around. Notice that we can position them relative to their original location. For example, if we wanted to move it in another inch in the design, and then say OK. Another thing that we can do is use Move Copy to make copies of geometry. Notice that when we select these faces, we don't have a copy option. But instead, if we select something like a body, we can create an entirely new copy of that body. This can be helpful if you want to keep the original and make a modification to a copy of the body. Press pull also works if we select these holes and we need to resize them. Currently, the radius value is 1/8 of an inch, but we can adjust them to be larger, for example, zero point 0.2. So now if we use inspect and measure, and we measure the value, you can see the diameter is now zero point 0.4 because we increased its radius. Once again, these direct modeling tools can be extremely handy if we need to make adjustments to a design that doesn't contain history that we can manipulate. From here, let's make sure that we do save this design before moving on.